Fine. So very good day to everybody. Once again, this is technological innovation and new media. And in this class, we discuss about 3G networks, Universal Mobile Telecommunication System (UMTS), and then 3G partnership project. Okay, this is 3GPP. So this is especially for you, my dear students and young researchers. And you can reach me at dr.christoananth@gmail.com. So before beginning the session, once again, let me thank God for giving this opportunity to deliver this useful session to share my knowledge among my fellow national, international participants, students, and young researchers. Right. So we'll have a short introduction towards 3G UMTS network architecture and about the wideband uh, CDMA technique. Okay. And then we discuss about the 3G UMTS network constituents, about the user equipment UE, elements, user equipment elements, USIM, Universal Subscriber Identity Module. Okay, and then we discuss about 3G UMTS core network CN. Then we discuss about the packet switched as well as the circuit switched element, the shared elements. Then finally we are going to end this class with 3GPP and its another version, second version 3GPP2. Okay. So I have already given the independent work for you. Please complete them. I will be checking them within the next 6 weeks. Okay, so at regular intervals, I'll be giving you some short videos to discuss the knowledge in our topics. Right. So of course, we have changed from 2G to 3G. So the emphasis would be to improve the quality of this mobile voice communication, whether maybe in the case of data or maybe voice or maybe any interconnectivity. Okay. So the foundations are well set in place, which means that we are providing basic access elements as well as circuit switched voice as well. And that is the reason you use UMTS, Universal Mobile Telecommunication System or maybe framework. So that is actually the 3G successor of this GSM. Okay. So compared to what you have with the edge technologies or maybe GPRS, this UMTS framework, what we have with 3G, definitely it will be providing wide services like diverse radio interface or maybe carrier sense multiple access like code division multiple access. Okay, and then we'll have specific services for the radio networks. Okay, so here whatever functionality that we are utilizing for GPRS, okay, and the edge would be the best in comparison to what we enjoy with the case of CDM. Okay, so with the case of data or maybe voice, yeah, quality of service is the best. Okay, with the case of UMTS. Okay, and we'll have in the case of UMTS code division multiple access technique with 5 megahertz wide channel. So from the data only, like we will have the user equipment, okay, across the radio access network RAN. Okay, then to the core network. So we'll have the data that is being passed on, okay, the data and the voice across the WCDMA technique, wireless code division multiple access. Okay, and across GSM. So we'll pass the data, okay, across the medium speed data. Okay, we'll have packet data network PDN, okay, to the computer. Okay, so here in extension to it, we'll be using this WCDMA, wireless CDMA. That's a wideband technique that will be utilizing 1.25 megahertz. So still, if it is using this particular frequency also, it will be providing the best services. Okay, so it can be used as a frame of media transmission, especially for 2G as well as 3G as well. And of course, the transmission time in order to provide the service will also be very less. Okay, so this is the basics. Like we are actually evolving from this GPRS. Okay, and from the GPRS only we are actually extending the services for the 3G Universal Mobile Telecommunication System. Okay, so this radio access network is a completely new radio interface. So that will have maybe you can be utilized for a phone or maybe personal device assistant or maybe laptop. Okay, with the 3G dongle device that we are using, you can plug into the USB port and you can enjoy the service. Right, so these are the important constituents. We have UE, user equipment. Okay, so you can call it as the mobile or maybe cell phone, which is actually getting the service. Okay, so definitely like as the name implies, user equipment. Okay, so it can be like a mobile phone. Maybe you can use it for as a talking terminal also. Okay, but you will be actually receiving the signals. Okay, whatever you are trying to go forward, you can transmit, okay, without any problem. Okay, and then you will have RNS, radio network subsystem. So that is also known as UTRAN, okay, UMTS, radio access network. So that is similar to your BSS, base station subsystem. So it will be providing, or maybe it will be managing the air interface for this entire network. Okay, and then we discuss like CN, core network. So that is the central processing and maybe management. So it's actually equivalent to what you have with the GSM network. Okay, like network subsystem. Okay, so what we discussed, like base subsystem, we'll have network subsystem. So here the core network will try to link it externally, okay, across the networks with the PDN. Okay, the data network we will have, and also the telecommunication system. Like for example, here you see UMTS CN core network, and from that several radio network subsystem. Then across the user equipment. Okay, so user equipment, if you can see, actually it's nothing but the interface with the user. Okay, so user equipment, you can use it like a handset or maybe a mobile set. Okay, so it will be having like higher data communication, and definitely you can use it maybe like for processing or maybe RF circuitry, maybe like an antenna you can use it. Okay, so only thing we are actually processing these voice signals. Okay, so there is not much about it is actually transmitting. It is actually transmitting these signals. Okay, so here in the user equipment, okay, so we'll have some elements. Okay, so that it's nothing but RF circuitry. Okay, so that is what you'll have an application or maybe an important part of this user equipment. Okay, so here the major problem that you will face with the user equipment RF circuitry is nothing but you have to reduce the power consumption. Okay, and that is the reason you have to modulate this WCDMA technique. Okay, especially for the RF linear amplifier. So your RF linear amplifier should be designed in such a way that you should be able to reduce the power consumption. Okay, and also battery life is also a problem. The designs is also should be optimum enough in order to get this efficiency. Okay. So this is the digital circuitry will actually process this one. You will try to reduce the power consumption or maybe the current consumption as far as possible. So from EU it will go to the UMTS TRAN, okay, and across the EPC, okay, to the servers or maybe the public data networks. Okay, so the concern should be you should reduce the battery or maybe the power consumption. Okay, and you have to maintain the circuitry as optimum as possible. Okay, so there has been a problem like we'll try to increase the current drain, so that has to be kept minimum as possible. This is USIM, Universal Subscriber Identity Module. So that's naturally a SIM card. Okay, so it's an advanced version of a SIM card which can be used in GSM. Okay, and generally if you can see like a mobile is being lost. Okay, which means that immediately they will be accessing the IMSI, International Mobile Subscriber Identity Number. So yeah, if your mobile is lost, means immediately they will be accessing or maybe noting down this IMSI. Okay, International Mobile Subscriber Identity Number. Okay, so that is what you call to be MSISDN. Okay, or you can call it as Mobile Station International ISDN Number. Okay, so you can set it in your preferred language, and definitely if the correct language is being displayed, then definitely it will access to. Okay, so that is the advantage it will be having, and it will be also having some preferred list, also some prohibited list of this PLMN. Okay, that is public LAN mobile networks. Okay, so it's interconnected and you can actually access to it. Okay, so USIM is nothing but the advanced version of the SIM card that you will be using. Okay, also it will be having like short message storage area that allows for storage of the data even maybe when the phone is changed also it will be remaining. Okay, so that is the advantage with the USIM. Okay. So phone number, phone book, like phone memory they will say. Okay, the phone book numbers as well as the call information, incoming calls, outgoing calls, missed calls, everything will be stored. Okay, so it will be taking like several versions. Okay, like broadband dongles also used to employ this application, okay, even in the desktop computers as well. So this is what you can enjoy with the use. Right. So this was RNS. Okay, RNS 3G UMTS radio network subsystem. So that was, yeah, RNS across several stations. Okay. So it will be interface with this user equipment and the CN core network. Okay. So for wireless communication elements, to properly maintain them, you will be using this one. So this is the overall radio access network RAN, okay, that will be maintaining the RNS radio network subsystem. You can call it as UTRAN, UMTS transmission radio access network, or maybe UMTS radio access network. So we can go with this one. Then you have CN core network. So this is an extended functionality of the UMTS. So it will be maintaining how the data should be carried and how the data can be split. For splitting, you can have two functionalities. One is circuit switch elements and another one is packet switch elements. Circuit switched, packet switched. Okay, circuit switch, as the name implies, it is circuit. According to the circuit, it will be switching. Okay, like with the GSM network identities or maybe entities, it will be switching. Okay, so it will be a permanent channel for the duration of the call. So maybe when the call is being established, there will be a permanent channel that has been dedicated in order to establish the call, to maintain the call, and to have a circuit switching policy as best as possible. Then you have packet switched elements. So it will be having packets to carry data, carry information from one end to another end. So if you use packets, means definitely it will be using too much of bandwidth, too much of network usage. So because the capacity has to be shared from one end to another end, okay, which means that it has to pass across several nodes, like routing procedure should be there across the network. So definitely more bandwidth, or maybe more circuit switched is better. Okay. So some network elements are associated with some registration policy as well. Okay, we'll have global mobile switching center. Okay, you have GGSN. You have gateway switching node. So I will discuss about this one. Okay, we'll have public switch telephone network, internet. Okay, so you will have equipment identity register. So that it will be passing on. Okay. MSC, Mobile Switching Center, actually it is same, an important part within the GSM. Okay, within that it will be having GMSC, Gateway Management Switching Center. Sorry, Gateway Mobile Switching Center. Gateway Mobile Switching Center. So it's actually an interface to the external networks. It's nothing but an intermediate element. Okay. And then you have SGSN, serving GPRS support node. Okay, so that you can have several extended functionalities within the UMTS. So it will be serving, okay, it will be serving all the services with the case of the GPRS support node. So we'll have mobile management. Okay, so when the user equipment is being attached to this public switch telephone network, okay, the serving GPRS support node will be having this mobile data, okay, based on the current location. Wherever the location is there, it will be providing the information. Okay, so this is mobility management. And then session management, as the name implies, it will be maintaining the sessions. Okay, so here it will be managing the packet data protocol. Okay, so which means that it will be having like dedicated pipes through which the data is being sent. Okay, so here the additional functionality is it is maintaining the good quality of service. Okay, and of course it will interact with several areas of the network even. Okay, we will have the mobile switching center, circuit switch areas. It will be establishing good communication. And then we'll have billing. Okay, the serving GPRS support node is responsible billing. Okay, so SGSN is the billing. Okay, so maybe for monitoring the flow of user data, you will be using this SGSN, serving GPRS support node. And then gateway GPRS support node. So we will have call detailed records that is being generated. Okay, so here we will have CGF, charging gateway function, in order to transfer, okay, the data across the charging entities. and then we have GGSN, Gateway GPRS support node. So it was actually a central element within the UMTS for inter-networking of the packet switching elements, okay, and the external packet switch networks. We'll be using this one, and of course the data has been forwarded, okay. Whenever this gateway GPR support node is going to receive the data, it will be checking if the user was active, and maybe it will be forwarding the data to the SGS. So these are the shared elements, like we'll have HLR, home location register. So here we will be having like administrative information, okay, about the each subscriber, okay, with their last known location. So that is the advantage. You can know about the details about the last known location, and you can route the calls to the relevant radio network controller, RNC, or maybe like from node A to node B, the previous call has been established, means it will return that. So when the user is going to switch onto the user equipment, it will be registered onto the network. So which means the previous communication which was actually stored in node B will be actually retrieved. So that is the home. Whenever you come to home, you can actually retrieve, okay, what are the information that is being present, and you can route these procedures appropriately. Okay. So here from the home location register, we will have SMC, subscriber management center, to the home location register. As I told you, you can retrieve this information. For example, what are the previous calls that you have maintained? Everything, it will be permanent records. Okay, what and all we discuss, MSISDN, IMSI. Like for example, the mobile is lost. With the IMSI, you can retrieve it. So it will be storing this information into one card, USIM. Okay, so maybe subscriber service provision, temporary records are also there. Okay, like we have VLR address, ciphering the items. We have all these features also. So both permanent as well as temporary are being stored here. VLR is nothing but visitor location register. Okay, so it is actually different from HLR, home location register. Okay, so since it is being if for example the user equipment is active, means then okay, it was already registered. For example, user equipment is not active, okay, but switched on, means okay, it re-registered periodically in order to ensure that HLR was aware of what the location it belongs to, and it will be getting access to the last known location on the network. Okay, and then you have EIR, equipment identity register. So that will be deciding whether the user equipment could be allowed in the network. So here you can also call it as the IMEI. That is what I told you, International Mobile Equipment Identity. Okay. So maybe it will be checking, okay, whether the installation worked correctly during the registration. Finally, you have the authentication center. It will be having like secret key or maybe the encryption key that can be contained in the user's USIM card as well. And finally, 3GPP, it's nothing but a partnership project. Okay, it's nothing but the standard organization behind this UMTS, and efficiently you can go for the upgrade as well with the 2G networks. So this UMTS or maybe wideband CDMA technique, okay, so uses 5 megahertz bandwidth carrier. So that is the characteristic. Okay, and we had the second version 3GPP2, also known as CDMA 2000. It will be very interesting that if you can go through with the CDMA 2000 technique, because you will understand the functionalities much more. Okay, so everywhere you will be using this 5 megahertz bandwidth carrier, and it is based on CDMA 1 technique. Okay, 3GPP2 will be based on this ANSI, American National Standard Institute, Telecommunication Industry Association, or maybe EIA, Electronic Industry Alliance. Okay, the version is actually 41, and ITU will be having both the versions, like 3GPP1 and then 3GPP2. So 3GPP2 is CDMA 2000, 3GPP1 is actually CDMA 1. Okay, so we had several OSI layers. Those 7 layers will be there. Okay, physical layer, network layer, session layer, all those 7 layers will be there. And this 3GPP and 3GPP2 will have this LTE, long-term evolution system. So 3GPP2 will have UMB, ultra mobile broadband. Okay, so you will be having maintained by this WiMAX system. Okay, so compared to WiMAX and then LTE, I would rather say LTE is offering greater advantages, okay, over all this. But still, the versions of 3G partnership project are still used, but LTE are having greater advantages over all this system. Okay. And after 2013, the second version of 3GPP2 got enacted. Independent work final. Exhibit efficient programming interface for UMTS protocol development.